Now, please note the following story contains details of a sexual nature. The Judicial Conduct Tribunal that's probing allegations of sexual harassment against top judge Selby Mbenenge continues today. In fact, in yesterday's testimony, the complainant, that's Andiswa Mengo, alleged that the judge president sent her an inappropriate picture, an allegation he denies. The tribunal is combing through lengthy WhatsApp messages between the pair. Watching developments for us is SABC News reporter Canny, who joins us now from Johannesburg. And Canny, we really drilled into the details yesterday, at some point trying to interpret the meaning behind emojis in some of those WhatsApp messages.
Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers at home. We're just minutes away from day 4 of Judge's secretary, that is the complainant in this first ever sexual harassment probe taking place against a judge president of the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court, that is Judge Selby Mbenenge. We're minutes away from Andiswa Mengo taking the stand again to continue with her testimony, giving evidence to the tribunal of the alleged sexual harassment that took place between June 2021 and November 2022. Now, just to place it into context, Mengo is a judge's secretary employed within the division of the High Court. And of course, Judge President Selby Mbenenge is a very senior judge in South Africa's judiciary and possibly the most senior in the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court. Now, she alleges that during that period, she received images, texts, and repetitive remarks from the judge president that she says, or alleges rather, constitutes sexual harassment, and that's why we're here before this tribunal. Now, of course, if the judge president is found guilty of gross misconduct, then we are in the realm of impeachment, and he could find himself facing a removal of office. So essentially what you've seen since Monday, since Mengo has been in the stand, is that we're really combing through this complex issue of sexual harassment. Now, remember, Ayanda, can be overt and quite clear, or in some circumstances you can be dealing with a more nuanced type of conduct in that form of sexual harassment, in that it is subtle, it is repetitive, it deals with suggestive conduct, and it deals with text messages that include images and videos, for example. Now, I think in this case, that is where the latter is more prominent. We've seen the evidence leader, that is State Advocate Salome Skeepers, who is quite experienced in the sexual offences unit within the NPA, comb through those messages to show, illustrate those nuances. So essentially what she's trying to do is close the gaps that may arise when the witness is cross-examined, because you know in cases like this that the burden of answering those difficult questions that come with a sensitive issue of this nature shifts from the alleged perpetrator to the victim. So what you've seen is her comb through the messages to show a pattern of the judge president initiating the messages first, also to show a pattern of the judge president starting with work-related content and then the messages going to a explicit nature. And then, of course, now yesterday is where we dealt with the more graphic evidence, the elevation of the content of the text messages. Of course, that realm of the text messages are disputed. We know that there are some that both agree did take place between June 2021 and November 2022. But since yesterday, those messages that we have been dealing with are the ones that are in dispute. They include the electronic communications, that is the WhatsApp stickers, alleged videos and alleged images that were allegedly sent to Mengo, allegedly by the judge president. So what we're dealing with here is sexually explicit images that she is testifying was sent to her allegedly by the judge president. And of course, he is denying these allegations in a very important probe which seeks to establish whether elements of sexual harassment existed between the pair. And then, of course, the question goes beyond that because it speaks of workplace safety. Therefore, if this individual who is the head of the division is still present in that court, then has the judiciary garnered a safe environment for women or vulnerable women that may be placed in that division of the High Court?
Absolutely. It's a multi-layered, multifaceted sitting, Canny, because there are so many issues that come from this. Issues to do with power dynamics, what constitutes harassment. But it's also been interesting to kind of watch through how members of the judiciary handle issues to do with translations, for example, because the complainant is speaking in isiXhosa, and there are nuances and subtleties that come with that are difficult sometimes to convey in English.
Absolutely, and well, there are exchanges that happen between the pair, and a lot of those exchanges happen in the Nguni language, that is isiXhosa. So what the evidence leader is trying to do is to ascertain what the responses meant and what the complainant intended to do when responding in the manner that she did. Because when we talked about the burden of explaining cases like this, that questions will arise to the witness as to why did she respond, why did she entertain it, why did she not stop it immediately? That's where the power dynamics come into play, and the witness testifies and explains that because this was her elder, this was her boss, she is a single mother, she doesn't want to lose her job, she felt compelled to respond to these messages, and she responds in a manner that is measured so as to not completely lash out. She testifies that she doesn't want to completely lash out at the high figure, or the figure of high stature rather, that is showing an obvious interest towards her, and she wants to mitigate that response, which is an example of what can take place when sexual harassment is a bit more nuanced, and that you are dealing with the power dynamics, you are dealing with a situation where there isn't much room for the alleged victim to exercise that type of discretion where she's able to say no or to reject the advances that are made to her. And in this instance, you are dealing with a judge president, that is the head of the court, and she's working in that division, has to work with this individual every day, may come across this individual, and she's receiving repetitive text messages. Some of them are suggestive, some of them are unrelenting, and the evidence leader, I think the strategy is to comb through those messages and show why a victim wouldn't have the room to outright just reject a figure of that kind, and rather mitigate their responses. So that's where the emojis come in. But of course, we're only in June 2021, that is mid-June of those text messages, and already they had elevated to that stage. We still have to reach the period of November 2022, where the witness alleges that is when the conduct would have stopped. So that hearing will begin at 9:30 a.m. this morning, and I understand that the witness will be on the stand for most of the day, as she continues, to explain the exchanges between her and the judge president.
Yeah, day 4 of 8 about to begin in literally 2 minutes' time. Kenny Maphana, live to us there from Johannesburg. Thanks very much indeed.